Hey everybody, in today's video, I'm going to walk you through the process of developing business systems. Now, I know it's super exciting, but truthfully, having business systems in your model allows you to become more efficient. It removes discretion from, trying to be creative, especially if you have other people doing those functions for you. And it almost always ensures that you're going to get the outcome that you're looking for. Even though it's a bit of work at the beginning, it's going to save you a lot of time and make you a lot of money in the end. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Really excited today. Number one, check out the hair. That's unfortunate byproduct of 2020. But check out this t-shirt.
That's tasty. Yeah.
Do you know who that is? If you do, put it in the comments below. If you don't, immediately unsubscribe, turn off this video, and you need to find Jesus, because if you don't know who this is, we can't be friends anymore. Anyway, in today's video, I'm going to nerd out a little bit and try to check myself because I love business systems. Now, most entrepreneurs that I know and business professionals, they find that systems can confine them, right? Like, having to show up at a certain time, reporting on a certain schedule, that can all seem like a lot. But what's great about business systems in your model is you're making them, building them, conceiving them, implementing them, and tweaking them to make your life easier. And in my humble opinion, the focus should be to drive additional revenue. I started doing business systems seriously when I started licensing the GoCEO model back in 2007. Before that, I could kind of get away with, doing things off the cuff. I'd make decisions on a daily basis on how I was going to do things. And I really liked the flexibility of not being locked into, I'm using that old terms, of getting locked in and confined, but I like the flexibility of changing the way that I did things. Now, the catch with that is I would recreate things almost on a daily basis, and that takes a lot of work. Now, it did feel a bit creative, but on the other side, I was duplicating things kind of in an inefficient way, and I would find a good way to do something, but because I hadn't documented it, the next time I might do it, let's say a week or 2 weeks later, I would do it differently, and I would get a different outcome. As I started to bring people into the company, I realized that I really had to systemize the approach because one, I needed training to be easy for those coaches, but two, I needed each client to get the outcome from an external coach that they would get if they were working with me. But the first challenge that I had is I'm not a systems engineer, right? I'm going to put a link to a video I did last year with my friend Jessica Hickey, whose superhero talent is going into businesses and developing systems from, HR right through to procurement to everything that makes things streamlined, more efficient, and more profitable. That's not my skill set. And so back in 2007, as I started to bring coaches on, the GoCEO business model was about 20 documents in I don't think it would have been Dropbox back then. Might have been Dropbox. But 20 documents that I would have them read to understand how we did coaching. What's funny is 14 years later, we have over 900 documents broken into 3 sections within GoCEO. How to bring in clients, business development, how to coach clients, right, performance-based, and then how to run the business of coaching, right, all the management parts. But in the beginning, I thought 20 documents was enough. The challenge, of course, was everything I didn't have documented, I had to answer questions about. Once I had a document that discussed the business function and then laid out the process, I didn't have to field those questions anymore. Even though I had to sit down and write the document in the first place, which let's say took me between a half hour and an hour, I saved myself, probably hundreds of hours in that time between 2007 and today of answering those same questions. People can now read the answers and kind of self-manage, which has been a lifesaver, especially with an organization our size. So the question then comes with, how do you actually do that? Now, I probably do it much differently than Jessica because she's an expert, but I want to share with you what worked for me, and you can actually try to duplicate it yourself or make some adjustments and make it your own. Now, as always, for those of people that have watched this channel before, I like, 3, 5, 7, I like steps and I like odd steps. And just as an aside, when you're teaching adult learners, it's best to use odd steps. I don't know why, I learned that a long time ago, but it's true. People like odd because in their mind, they either finish on an odd step or it suggests that there's always more that you can be doing. So in this particular example on how to build business systems, I have a 5-step process I'm going to share with you today. And as always, again, you can put any questions you have in the comments below, and I'll try to answer. The challenge with business systems is they are as unique as a fingerprint, but the things that you really want is to make sure that you make them your own and that they fulfill the function that you're looking for them to do, which is either making things more efficient, clearer to follow, or driving additional revenues. Let's jump into the first one. The first step that we need to do when we're coming up with how to build a business system is to decide what function are we trying to systemize. So it could be anything from how your company answers the phone, how you follow up with email, rules that you have around email, how you contract, the types of clients that you go after, your process for hunting new business. There are a ton of videos on this channel that will talk about different business systems, so you can go in there and have a look. But we're going to kind of just brainstorm all of the different functions that need to be addressed in your business. How you hire, how you fire, how you bring in business, how you manage business, how you terminate business. Could be how you pay your rent. As I said, answer the phone, pay your bills, upgrade computer software, shoot YouTube videos. And you know what's interesting? Okay, hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Is I actually found, as I was writing out the outline for this video, the original steps that I was thinking about when I started doing these YouTube videos a year ago. So I don't know if you can see those, but here's what I had for steps that needed to be systemized. Intro, thumbnail, video, end bumper, music with the end bumper, end screen, links, description, URL, and Instagram thumbnail. Since coming up with this list, each of those steps have been developed into their own system. So I would say to you, your first step is to choose a business function that you want to systemize, and choose one that might be a pain in the butt or that you find yourself recreating all the time, and put a little time into setting up a system around it. Now, the thing I should add is your initial system or systems will not be perfect. What we're looking for is for them to be better than what you're doing right now. The second thing I want you to do after you've chosen the system you want to develop is to be really clear on the outcome you want that system to do. Do you want it to be more efficient, more turnkey, easier for other people to follow, cut down on time or resources used? What is your expectation of that system once it's put into place? The reason why we do this at this step is we want to build the system ensuring that it will do what we intend it to do. If we don't have an intention for the system, then we don't know what we're building, right? And it would be just like if you're building a car. Are you building a car for efficiency? Then you're going to build it light. Are you building it to win races? Then it's going to have a big engine. Are you building it for safety? You're going to reinforce the steel. You really need to know what you want that system to accomplish before you actually start to build it. The third step is once you know the system you're building and why, then you start to break down the steps that go into doing that function. And, you know, I would say my greatest challenge with doing this is I would jump steps. I would assume obvious steps were obvious, right? Anybody would know how to do them. And once I get to the fifth step and actually how to put a system in place, I'll show you what the pitfall is in that. But you really have to break down every step. An example that I use when I'm teaching clients how to do this is brushing your teeth. How would most people describe brushing your teeth? Get your toothbrush, get toothpaste, brush your teeth. That would be how they would describe it. But that isn't how we document a system. If I was going to build a system on how to brush your teeth, what I would say is step one, determine the time of day that you're going to brush your teeth. Maybe it's in the morning and before you go to bed, maybe it's after each meal, but determine the time. Secondly, select the toothbrush that you're going to use. Third, pick up the toothbrush in your right or left hand, whichever one is dominant, and pick up your toothpaste. Step 4, take the cap off the toothpaste. Step 5, spread, a certain amount of toothpaste on your toothbrush. Step 6, cap your toothpaste. Step 7, run your faucet, warm or cold depending on what you prefer, and put the head of your toothbrush with toothpaste on it under the water to make it wet. Step 8, turn off the water, if you're a conservationist, and insert the toothbrush in your mouth. Step 9, move the toothbrush in circular motions from the back of the left side of your mouth to the back of your right side of your mouth on the top. Then do the same in the bottom, and then work the inside of your teeth before you're done. A good rule of thumb is to sing happy birthday twice. The next step is to remove said toothbrush from your mouth, turn on the water again, rinse it out, put it in your cup. The next step is to rinse your mouth out of toothpaste and spit it in the sink. The next step might be add some mouthwash, swish it around, gargle, spit it out. 16, rinse out the sink so none of the remnants from brushing your teeth are there. That system is done. You might hear this and go, oh my God, that seems like a lot of steps. It is, but it would be hard for anyone who hadn't brushed their teeth before not to do it relatively well by following the checklist. The more detailed you can be, the more discretion you remove from the outcome. The fourth step in our process of developing the system is once we have it in place, then we test it forwards and backwards, which means you go through the system yourself, forward, and check to see if you've missed any steps. So you're actually doing the activity following the process that you develop. And then what I like to do, again, nerding out, is to practice the process backwards. Think of it in reverse order. Did we forget anything? Assuming that you haven't forgotten anything, right? Using the teeth brushing example, you brush your teeth forwards, backwards, like you figured it out. Then we move to the last step. And the last step, which is step number 5, is have a third party follow your process and to give you feedback. So again, with the toothbrushing, I might have one of my kids follow my step-by-step approach and look to see if anything was missing. I would check the outcome. I would ask them about their experience. Did they do anything that wasn't on the list? Was there anything on the list that they didn't do? This is where you get feedback. With all systems we build in business, once they're done, we measure them and we manage them. We measure the efficacy of the system and then we manage them by making adjustments, little tweaks, and so on until we get the desired outcome most of the time. Now, I know this has been a slightly more technical video than normal, but the beautiful thing about business systems, aside from what I talked about in the beginning, which is, driving revenue, driving efficiencies, and making sure that other people can duplicate what you do with kind of the same outcome, is businesses that are systemized are worth more money. They grow quicker and they tend to have more healthy bottom lines. Every hour you put into a system for your business, you're going to get paid tenfold should you exit that business, or just from a training perspective, you're going to have less training because you're going to have a system that people can follow. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I did, nerded out, and of course with my snake shirt, I had superpowers today, and of course with almost a matching hairdo. I want you to build your first system within the next few days and play with it a little bit. If you get stuck on any part of the systemization of your business, put in the comments below. I'll monitor and I'll try to do my best to answer. Give the video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share it with a friend who might be thinking about selling their business and or growing into growth phase. And remember, gladiators eat first and they rely on systems to expedite their growth. I'll see you in the next video.